Here's our carburetor from the Yamaha 15 horsepower. This carburetor is already clean. What happened was I disassembled, cleaned, reassembled the carb. Kind of screwed up the footage. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to disassemble the carb, clean the carb. It's already clean, but I'll disassemble it and then reassemble it just to give you an idea of how this comes apart, what's inside, and what to expect when we do get inside. So first things first is we're going to pull off the hoses. So we'll set our hoses aside. Then we can pull our bowl off. Four screws for the bowl. Then we have our overflow. This overflow is only on 1974 and later. The earlier models have a drain on the bottom of the bowl. This model, the 74 and earlier or later, also have a jet down in the bowl here. So you'll want to take that jet out. That little jet there. So your 72 and 73 models won't have that. Then we can pop off our float. Grab our pin and the float arm. You can see there's our needle. Needle comes out. Then we have our bottom jet. It's our main jet. Then we can pull our emulsion tube out. Then we have our seat. And that's pretty much the bottom. We can also take that gasket off. I'm not gonna, because I'm afraid of ripping that gasket. So I've just left the gaskets on when I cleaned it. Now we can flip it over. They have a jet on the side. We also have a fuel mixture screw. I know that this is 1.5 turns out. seat that and come back out 1.5 turns when that goes back in. We have a small screw on the back side. That screw just gives you access to the shaft here. So if you want to drop a few drops of oil in there when you're reassembling, you can remove that screw. We'll go ahead and remove it. So now we can pull our choke assembly off. There's a screw on the side. That lets you remove this plate. So you can see there's a little dust cover here. Mine's pretty brittle. You can see where there's a tear in it. That's from the first time I pulled this apart and cleaned it. You can see I have a small tear in mine. What I did with this was, when I was cleaning my parts, I just let it soak in some Armor All, something like that, some kind of a protectant, just to soften that rubber up a little bit. The nut comes off, and then the plunger. And you can see this plate here is what provides a tension for when you open and close it. And you'll see that when it goes back together, and there's the plunger for the choke. So really that's as far down as I'm going to tear this carb. There's really no need to pull any of this throttle mechanism off. You don't need to pull the butterflies or anything out of it. So go ahead and clean all those parts however you want to clean them. I use an ultrasonic cleaner. That's why I didn't worry too much about the gaskets and stuff. The ultrasonic cleaner is not going to affect any of these gaskets. And once all your parts are clean, you'll just reassemble the exact opposite order. So we'll start from the bottom. We'll put our seat back in. Drop our needle in. Next we can go the emulsion tube. Then our main jet. That's not it. That's it there. put our float arm back in place. We'll just hold it with one finger and grab. There we go. So once that arm's through, then we can put our float back on. So we'll set that down. We'll need to reassemble the bowl. And really we just want that jet back in place. Then we can put our nut over top of that. Tighten that down. And then we have our drain. Run that all the way down. Then we can put our float or our bowl back over the bottom of the carb. Put our 4 screws back in. Flip it back over to the top. Now we'll start working on the choke. So we can drop the plunger back in. The spring goes over top of the plunger. Then we have our little bracket. And then we can put the nut over top. You want to make sure that bracket is hanging out just over this edge here, because that's where our arm is going to connect, and that's where it's going to provide spring tension. So run that down and we can tighten that up. Put our rubber dust seal back over top. Make sure it's down all the way. Then we can put our arm on the side. So you know that's right, you can hear that click. So we got our spring tension on our choke. Then we have our side jet. And our air fuel mixture screw. Seat it down, half, one, half, and you can adjust that once it's on the outboard and fired up. You can adjust that idle screw. And the last thing on the table is our little screw. That was the access port for that shaft for the butterfly. Then we just need to attach our hoses. There's your drain hose. There's a breather line. And there you have it. I think that gives you a pretty good idea on how it comes apart and goes back together, and what you're going to be looking for, where the jets are, and whatnot. So with that, I appreciate you watching, and until next time.